it's made out of sand.
Both of these were decorative styles. Now, the interesting thing, um, both of these things are decorative styles, and you have to understand before about 200 years ago, when we really started opening up commerce with other countries and checking out areas we'd never been in before, style, I'm not going to say it was static because style and art constantly changed, but a lot of it was very regional. Like if you were in Italy during the Renaissance, you had um, access to looking at Renaissance style artists, but you didn't have access to know what was going on in Japan or China or Egypt, unless somebody brought something from that area back, or unless you walked to Japan or China or Egypt, which is a big task. All right, that wasn't an easy thing to do. So, people. I'm not going to say art was static, as I said, but I want to say that art stayed kind of in its own area. And if we've talked about Albert Dürer before, when we've talked about hatching, he was the printmaking guy. In 1471, he was born, so probably in 1500, 1501 is when his art started really traveling to different areas. We go forward a couple hundred years, and ships are going to different ports in different countries, and we're trading, and we're starting to exchange things. And so by the time we get around to Art Nouveau in 1890, which I will still argue is more like 1880 when it started, um, the Impressionists were painting. You know, they were creating images with smears of color. And then you have people like Seurat, who was making paintings with dots. And even though this all kind of seems like it's in the wheelhouse, these are big leaps for art and visual stimulation within the brain of a culture. You know, everybody who lived in that region of the world was getting hit with all this different information. So there's not a lot of painters that focused specifically on Art Deco and Art Nouveau. There's a couple, but everybody was kind of trying to do their own thing. So hopefully that cleared some of that up, the world mindset of what people were seeing. Okay, so what the two different groups are doing here. 5 6s. I'm going to have you compare and contrast Art Deco and Art Nouveau with two pictures. Since both were heavily reliant on the female form, you're going to draw two ladies. Uh, Obviously, the Art Nouveau, macaroni hair, flowing, tons of weird organic patterns and detail. Your Art Deco, it's going to be stiffer. It's going to be flatter. Like there won't be as much form being painted. And we'll move ahead and take a look at the others to kind of compare and contrast. The one on the left is Deco. The one on the right is Nouveau. So you have crazy detail here. All right, you have borders. Art Nouveau art pieces relied heavily on super detailed borders. Some Deco did too, but it wasn't as common. You see this fractaled background, right? They broke up the space and they used, instead of gray like we saw in the other ones, they used kind of a blue green or green with a dot of blue in it. So it's off. You see fades, but these fades don't contribute that much to that figure looking rounded. It's a hint. It's nothing more than a hint. All right. Here are two other ones. This one, I believe, is an unprofessional one. This is somebody attempting to draw in the style of Mucha. But this gives you a great example. You've got flowers, you've got patterns, you've got the flowing hair. This macaroni here looks good. It's not as good as Mucha's, but it looks good. Um, Flowing dresses. Art Nouveau was a little earlier than Deco. So people were a little more reserved. Long dresses that went to your ankles and weren't uncommon. All right. Deco piece, Great Gatsby. Uh, The decorations that you see, we have a stylized peacock. When drawing these feathers, instead of drawing them like feathers, they become a design element, a pattern, if you will. All right, same with the dress. Although it looks kind of spider webby, it's got that whole flapper, Great Gatsby era design because that's when Deco was king. All right, here's another Deco one. The folds in the clothing almost become their own pattern. All right, but we're not seeing extraneous detail. Like when we look at this Art Nouveau piece, she's got this crown with all these flowers and all these little details and this background. Oh my gosh, look at that background. That's just stunning. And really, the best part about this one is the expression of the face with the hand. You're not doing the seasons. I'm glad you asked, because what I'm going to have you guys do is a compare and contrast. And after we look at this one real quick, I'll show you what we're talking about. I wanted to show you a Deco that had a background or had a border around it, because your Deco border is very geometric. It's not particularly overtly detailed. It's got, empty spaces, or in this case, even, whoops, my bad, we're getting there, metallic spaces. All right. This one we have flows up. All right. Now, the styles are what I'm going to be looking for. The subject matter of these two ladies are going to be up to you, but I want them to contrast. So, example, the goddess of death, the goddess of life. Now, if it was up to me, Deco seems cold. It just does. I mean, I'm not saying that's bad. It seems cold. It seems a little heartless, a little metallic, a little more death-like than Nouveau. Nouveau seems full of life. So you could go that route. You could do death versus life in these two drawings that you're going to do. And I have other examples here. Here's another. Now, is this example Deco? No. And you know what? This death isn't particularly Deco either. That death is just almost darn right Nouveau, isn't it? It's got the flows. It's got the detail. The only thing it's missing is a crazy Art Nouveau border. But you could do it as Deco by putting her in a swanky dress, getting rid of a bunch of the detail, flattening out the head, making a pattern out of those horns. You could totally do that character as an Art Deco person. All right. Same here. We got a life and death. We have the goddess Esther here. We have the goddess of death here. And other people have also done compare and contrast. So here on the left, we have Lady Death from the Sandman series. Probably the cutest version of death that has ever been created or written in a book. And there on the right, once again, different interpretation of the goddess Esther, from which we get the concept of Easter. So if you've always wondered what Jesus has to do with bunnies and eggs, absolutely nothing. That is all the goddess Esther, who is the goddess of spring and rebirth. And the symbol of rebirth is an egg. That's why we got the eggs. And bunnies, they make lots of bunnies, hence the birth thing. So now if you don't want to do life and death, that's cool. You can do Christmas and Halloween. I mean, I want a theme to these. What should contrast is the design from Nouveau to Deco. Should be the main thing I see between these two female figures and whatever background you're going to add. All right. I know, right? I totally go with her. I go with her before I go with her. Where are we going? Concert? I'm in. All right. Now, that's for the 5/6s. That's what you guys are doing. You're going to compare and contrast two female figures, one in Deco, one in Art Nouveau. You're going to give them a theme.
Okay, any questions about that assignment, please contact me at my email address. Do not hesitate. Some people like to just check stuff over before they start drawing. Let me know your concept. I'd love to hear it. All right. Have a good day. Talk to you later. Bye.